And if they want to make it better, they can do that by calling Mr. Bolton in the House where they have an opportunity. Well, actually, what they did was they invited him to speak, but they did not subpoena him. They used
you're right. They
no,
didn't
I didn't.
subpoena him. They invited him to speak, and he said he wouldn't show up.
He threatened to sue.
Well, at the end of the day, they still have the opportunity. He has now said he's happy to come testify. So if you want to hear from if you want to hear from Mr. Bolton, all you have to do is hear from him in the House. If you don't mind me finishing the comment, that would be wonderful. If you want to hear from Mr. Bolton, you can do it in the House where they have the ability to hear from him and continue to work on America's priorities. And as we do so, then we would be able to do America's priorities in the Senate as well.
And I would go one step further to say, even if everything in Bolton's book happens to be true and everything he testifies to happens to be true if he happens to be called, I still do not believe that that rises to the level of the impeachable offenses that the House has charged the president with. We've heard 54 questions and answers so far today. At the rate we're going, we're probably going to hear about 160 total, so we're going to have an opportunity for all of our members to hear more information. But I am committed to go to the end of the day on Friday and cast a vote to say I'm ready to go to final judgment. I don't see a need for any additional witnesses. America has heard enough. Most people don't realize that under this system, the Senate can do no other work until we are through with impeachment, which means working on the cost of drugs, working on the highway bill, working on many of the priorities of the American people. So a majority of Americans today are saying this is a waste of time because they know that the president is not going to be removed, and they know that this is an election year, and they say, you have more important things to do actually to advance the country than what we're doing by sitting here in a trial of impeachment.
75% of Americans want to hear from witnesses.
I gave you all the time you wanted. Okay, thank you, everybody. I thought this question period, again, was just so good for our side. So many different instances where our arguments prevailed. Once again, Professor Dershowitz's arguments make just about no sense, that it has to be at the level of bribery or extortion. I think Adam Schiff and the others took him to the cleaners in the argument. And the idea that maladministration is the same as abuse of power, almost no scholar accepts. Second, a very telling moment. They said they don't want absolute immunity, and I asked them the question, name one witness or one document you've allowed the House managers to get when they've requested it, and Mr. Philbin filibustered, P-H-I-L, Mr. Philbin filibustered, because he had no answer. They couldn't name a single witness or a single document. If that's not absolute immunity, I don't know what is. Again, two of the senators who are most interested in, deciding whether to vote for witnesses asked if they could find any instance where the president talked about Biden before he announced for president, and they couldn't answer. They just said, well, I only have the record. That's not true. And then two back and forth. What did Mulvaney mean when he said quid pro quo? What did Bolton mean when he said drug deal? Well, it's back and forth. It looms. You want to know? Ask them, bring them here as witnesses. So I thought that it was a great afternoon for us. I am hopeful we can win the argument for witnesses and documents. We've always said it's uphill. There's tremendous pressure from a vindictive, nasty president on every Republican senator. But I think they sit there as they listen to these questions, and they know the public is totally on our side, and we've got a real shot to get witnesses and documents.
What's your gut tell you? You going to get them?
My gut tells me we're making progress, and I certainly am hopeful.
On that point of witnesses, I saw at one point when Hunter Biden was mentioned by Senator Kennedy, Senator Menendez kind of chuckled, and a few others did as well.
Well, they're always...
Is Hunter Biden still, is that witness reciprocity?
Hunter Biden has nothing to do with the charges against the president. And it's always they're looking for a diversion. But it's not our call. If they want Hunter Biden, they got 53 votes, they can call him. They don't want him because they know it would make it a circus. I don't think McConnell has the votes on his side for Hunter Biden. No, next.
We've seen time and time again in these, you say that you're hopeful, but we've seen time and time again in these protracted political fights, Leader McConnell win these arguments? What makes
Well,
this
you know,
time
you don't
different?
win when you stand for a cover-up. You don't win when there's not witnesses and documents and it's not a fair trial. And I think we've got a real shot here, but any conclusion that doesn't allow witnesses and documents is going to make the president's acquittal, if that should happen, worth very, very little. Zero. You can't convince the American people it was an acquittal if you don't have witnesses and documents.
You mean exoneration?
Yes.
The senators who were just here before you said the Senate can do no other work as long as you're dealing with this impeachment trial.
Some of the committees met today and passed out bills. They sure can in the morning.
So their argument is get this
Okay.
over with.
Can I tell you something? It rings so false. We have Mitch McConnell, leader of the legislative graveyard, who hadn't put a single bill on the floor for the year before impeachment, and now they're saying this is getting in their way. Mitch McConnell, we'll meet early in the morning to get some bills on the floor. We dare you. Take 10 of the bills the House passed the day after impeachment ends and put them on the floor. Then talk about that. If they don't do that, they can't talk about getting nothing done. They're the ones who've been expert at getting nothing done. Yes.
Senator Schumer, today during the proceedings outside of the Senate, a member of the Trump administration identified the alleged whistleblower. If someone did that on the floor of the Senate,
Well, I don't think they named a name on the floor of the Senate.
No, I know, but if someone tried that,
You know, this is despicable. This is despicable. This is an administration in their quest for absolute immunity, in their Donald Trump's threats and things towards people like John Bolton, who were once his good friends. They are so afraid of truth, they go to almost any length to stop it from happening in this trial and sometimes outside the circumstances of this trial.
Senator, what
Let
do
me
you say
just,
to the
I just want to,
criticism-
you asked one. All right, go ahead. You're a
What do you say to the
nice guy.
criticism from the GOP, who says that you blew it in the House, that's where it happened, and that they're in
For the
no
GOP
obligation do
to
it here.
blame the House for not having all the witnesses and documents when it was Donald Trump who stopped them and with the snap of his finger can have them all is the ultimate hypocrisy. Thank you, everybody.